Okay, so this is a video I've been wanting to make for a little while. A lot of you guys wonder how I afford the Porsche, the M5, all these other cars sitting around. My particular situation is a little bit different. With doing YouTube, we get paid at a lot different rate most people get paid at, right? But today, I'm going to show you how you could afford this. Most of you already know this. I just don't think a lot of people actually apply it to what they already know. So my situation is I don't have any brand new vehicles. Could I buy a brand new vehicle? Well, yeah, I sure could. You know, just to give a real quick rundown, I was looking at buying a new Tundra. A new Tundra, for one that's optioned pretty well, is over $50,000. Okay. So you can use sites like, and this isn't a sponsored video, you can use sites like Bankrate. There's a bunch of different sites that have a loan calculator that looks essentially like that, if you could even see it. So you just type in essentially auto loan calculator in Google, and that gives you a form to fill out that you could go to, and you can see what something would cost. This is what you have to remember. Anytime you go through an actual bank, you pay a lot more for a loan. You pay more in fees, you pay more in interest, you pay more in everything. If you go through a third-party lender, which usually is a car dealership, you're going to pay a lot less. And, you know, your average used car loan through a bank is what, around 10%? A lot of major fees. You can get financed through a dealership for around 5% right now, right? Depends on where you're at, depends on exactly when it is, but this very minute, that's the going rate. So let's draw up a scenario, okay? Let's say you could afford a few $100 a month, but you're like, in the back of your mind, like, oh, Porsche, that's crazy money. Well, certain ones can be. Specialty Porsches can be crazy money. So this thing being let me turn the AC off, hold on. I had to turn the heat off, not the AC, because it was making a droning noise. The car behind me, the 06 Cayman, one with good mileage, they start around 20 and go up, right? So let's say your average first gen Cayman S is in the low 20s, okay? Let's say 22 is just like a good solid number. You could go on Facebook Marketplace and buy one for that pretty much any point in time. And you have to understand, a car that old, the bank's only going to loan 3 to 3.5 years on the loan. So you have to also figure that. So let's say you go to your local bank. Let's say you want to loan $22,000. And we're putting the calculator here as we go. Let's say a 36-month loan. If you get it through a bank, you're looking at 10%. And click off of it. And just that alone, you have $710, right? The other direction of that is, if you buy a new vehicle, you don't have to get very fancy for it to be 50 grand. You're talking $1,000 a month, right? That's $1,000 a month for 60 months. This is $700 a month for 36 months. So it's basically half the time. If you can't afford $700 a month, what you need to do is save some money up to put down on it until you could get to the point where you want to be with your payments. So just to run another scenario of it, let's say instead of 22, let's say you want to borrow, I don't know, let's say you got a good deal on one that's kind of broken. Maybe you need some work. Let's say you paid 16 grand for it. Let's say 15 grand. We've seen some broken ones before for as little as 12, but I mean, something that's broken, you're still okay with fixing. So 15 grand. Let's say it's got 100,000 miles, a little more than 100,000 miles on it. The same term, 36 months, and 10%. That's only $484 a month. $484 a month, you could conceivably find one for that price, right? One you can still drive. It may need a little bit of work here and there, cosmetics, whatever. Or if you dare to venture down that road, a prior salvage title. Might be hard to get a loan on it, but they're out there. I've seen them for as low as 12 grand before with prior salvage. So you could afford one of these cars. Now, of course, your more expensive stuff, a 911 of this particular year is, 25 to 30 grand. Depends on how many miles, mostly miles, and what options it has. One with tan leather brings less than one with black leather. Convertible brings less than a coupe, than a hardtop, and so forth. As far as expensive cars, things that are out of control on price, a newer GT3, a newer GT2 RS, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You could buy a 2014 GT3 for around 80, right? And 2014, let's just run a scenario on that, right? That's an extreme car. That's a specialty car. That's not an everyday driver. And let's just run it. Let's say you get 48 months loaned on that. $80,000, $85,000. Be realistic with it. Let's say you still have to give 10% interest, which you will through a bank. That's $2,156 a month. Okay. A lot of people will say, that's no problem. I could buy that, no problem. Go ahead. Go ahead and do that, right? I was just looking at a house, essentially, in Missouri, essentially a mansion. It was $1,800 a month, and I didn't do it. I just didn't think it was a wise idea. We already have a big shop. We already have a nice house. To take the chance to go grab that bigger place, it's risky, right? We're still hanging, the president's election is still hanging in the midst. That's a deciding factor in the fate of America. Coronavirus. And, look up today, YouTube revenue's down a little bit. The revenue's not down. The numbers are down. The views are down a little bit. And so you have to think ahead. Let's say you work at a job. Let's say you make, I don't know, what does a regular job pay anymore? I don't even know. $20 an hour, right? Let's say you make $20 an hour. You think you're making good money. I mean, is it? You start buying stuff that costs $2 grand a month, it's not. Right? It depends on how you want to live, what you want to do. What frustrates me a lot, I'll see people at the gas station. I don't know how you can afford to drive a Porsche. And they get in and drive off in a brand new truck. And it's like, okay. This car is paid. It's done. It doesn't have a monthly payment or anything like that. And I see that a lot. I've gotten that for years driving stuff. And pulling up in a 911 that I paid $5 grand for, and somebody in a brand new vehicle is scoffing at me. I guess people just don't know, right? Now, one more thing we'll let you guys go after that. The video's running on and on. E60 M5, that car is a different breed. The Porsches, you could buy these, you could drive them. They don't break a lot. They're pretty damn reliable. The E60 M5, if you go buy that, let's say you could spend 20 grand on one of those in a minute right now. In a minute. One with no service history will bring that much. If you buy that car, you can afford to make the payments. That car will absolutely suck you dry on maintenance, especially if you can't fix it, even if you can't fix it yourself. Don't buy that car. That car is an axe murder in disguise is what that is. If that's your favorite car in the world, don't buy it until you have plenty extra money to fix it. The Porsches, they're easy. They always have been easy. One more secret I'm let you in on. I paid $27 a month for this car for full coverage. That's a $1,000 deductible on both sides. It is by far cheaper than the BMWs. It is by far the most efficient and the cheapest car I own. That's going to be it, guys. My Porsche story. See you very soon. Have a good day.